Berry, always a pleasure having you with us on ET. Now, I hope you, your team at Britannia are keeping safe, doing well amidst this pandemic. You managed to outperform your peers in Q4. You've managed to do so in Q1 as well. In fact, you've outdone yourself. You've posted one of the best growth that we have seen in a very long time. So the question is, how sustainable is it? I mean, what we saw in Q1, which was of course during the peak of the lockdown, do you think this was also because there was this this stocking up that was being done, and hence perhaps it was maybe this one-time fleeting period where people were just rushing to stock up on biscuits and packaged foods? Do you think this demand momentum has continued in July? Have you seen that happen?
It's been extraordinary times, and truly a stunning performance from the team here in Britannia. It's been such a delight to see this. We started on the back foot completely. We were not sure where we were going to go, because factories were not starting off, and distribution systems were in disarray. But the way the team came together, I think the trick was in being so well connected. We used to connect every day for 2 hours just to discuss early in the morning, to discuss what had happened the previous day and what were the tasks for each one of us for the next day. And we would just execute flawlessly. It was everyone, with their shoulder to the wheel and just executing at a rate which was just outstanding. So delighted to see that. I personally think that what's happened during this time is a case of, us getting share of stomach. As I've even said in the past, human beings don't start to consume more or less. The amount of food that human beings eat is about the same. It's just that there was no on-premise, there was no out of home, there was no on-the-go consumption happening during this time. It was all home consumption. And in times like this, first of all, our product is home consumption product. So that gave us an advantage. But more than that, ours is the most trusted brand. And in tough times like this, people do gravitate to the most trusted brand. So I think that was, what made us get more share of stomach for the consumers. And yes, there was some amount of larder stocking which was happening, but that was right in the beginning of this, pandemic. Thereafter, it's been, as we've gone through this, it's becoming a regular consumption for most consumers.
What about in July, Mr. Berry? What's been the momentum now, as we've slowly started to unlock the demand momentum?
So the demand momentum, I would say, is going to continue, albeit at a slightly slower pace as we go through the year. I would think it's very difficult to forecast what's going to happen tomorrow. But if someone was to put a gun to my head and say, give me a forecast, I would say that this is here to stay for at least 6 to 9 months. And we've got to understand, and we've got to make sure that we live with the new reality. And we look at the challenges and we create them into opportunities for ourselves.
Okay. Britannia does have a higher salience from urban as opposed to rural areas, the Hindi speaking belt, etc. But now of course the expectation is that rural is the one that's really going to outperform. In fact, every company as well says that anything that has a rural salience, the demand over there has been increasing, whether it's FMCG or even tractors for that matter. What's your plan to increase distribution, increase penetration in the rural areas?
So we've done a lot of work in the last 7 years on rural, and that's what's keeping us in very good stead as far as our numbers are concerned. You're right, the rural trends are a lot more aggressive than the urban trends. Even the pandemic hasn't hit the rural consumers as much as what we are seeing in the urban centers. So we are seeing a huge demand. We are from 21,000 rural distributors in February. In June, we've been able to take this up to 22,000 distributors. We did see a setback in between for a couple of months, but we are back with a bang, and we are again starting to build our rural distribution even further. UP, which was our weakest state, is now our second largest state. I'm not saying that we are a very big share player in that state, but just by the size of that state, it's become the second largest state for us in terms of total business. And now we are looking at putting up a manufacturing facility there, because never have we thought of putting a manufacturing facility in UP. Now it's becoming a necessity. So there are a lot of changes that are coming through. One is this whole thing about home consumption versus out of home consumption. Second is, I've already spoken about the trusted brand versus any other brand. Third is this hygiene, safety, and health. That's becoming a very big trend, and we've got to make sure that we take that into our plans as we start to look at products for the future. The next one is shortening of supply chains. We are looking at that very carefully. In fact, our distance traveled by our biscuits has come down from 370 kilometers to 320 kilometers during the last quarter. So shortening supply chains, getting products domestically, all of that is becoming important. Next is the importance of the neighborhood store, right? There was a huge surge in modern trade in the past 3-4 years. Modern trade was growing at almost 2.5 times the growth of the traditional trade business. But during this pandemic, people are depending more on their neighborhood stores, and hence traditional trade has started to see a huge rebound. So we've got to make sure that we take that into our plans as well. And the last is, of course, the rural versus urban. I think this year is going to be a great year for rural, because not just the pandemic not reaching rural, but also the monsoons are looking very good. So I think the rural growths are going to certainly be more than what the urban growths are concerned. So we are looking at all of that. In addition to that, whatever are the cost-saving things that we've seen during this pandemic, we are creating them into projects and making sure that we work on them and we take them to their logical conclusion.
All right. Continuing that point on cost savings, we did see a very smart expansion on your margins. I think it went beyond 20% in Q1. There was a lot of cost control, like you mentioned. Media spends were, cut down quite a bit, etc. But now, inflation is coming back. Raw material inflation is something that you have flagged off in your press release as well. So is this margin level maintainable? And of course, the costs as well will slowly come back. I mean, you had controlled costs because of what the situation was. So I'm sure the costs as well will come back. The expenditure will come back. So what's the outlook on margins?
Well, you're right. I don't think a 21% margin is sustainable. But we are going to make sure that we try and see whatever we can get out of it. There will be almost 50% of this will go right back, because advertising and sales promotion will get back to normal as soon as we have full product out in the market. And similarly, there are certain other costs which will get back. But we are looking at every possibility of getting as much out of this period and as much learning out, so that we can get as much savings out of this. I am not in a position to say how much of this is going to stay, but our objective will be to at least get about 30-35%, a third of it to stay as we move forward. And just to clarify, we are not seeing inflationary trends as far as our raw materials are concerned. On all of our raw materials, it's been a very reasonable level of inflation at about 3%. And we see that to continue through the year.
Okay, so just 3% inflation, noted. Now your non-biscuit business has seen good growth as well during this lockdown. Bakery, dairy, people like you mentioned, they want reputed brands, they want trusted packaged brands. Do you think that this is the opportunity for Britannia cheese, Britannia's bread to establish a firm spot for itself in every household?
No, absolutely. And our bread business has done spectacularly well. Our bread business has outgrown our overall bakery business, not just in terms of top line, but also in the bottom line sense, right? Similarly, our cheese business has grown almost 2 times what our overall growth is. So all of these businesses are doing well. I don't think these are sustainable growth numbers because they are one-off, but it's just giving us a very clear outlook on what are the opportunities, what are the areas that we can really concentrate on. And that's becoming a very exciting project for me as we go forward.
What was the product mix like, Mr. Berry, between mass category products, premium products? I know your portfolio is largely a bit more, skewed towards the premium side, but, the fear is that consumers may want to downtrade a little bit because, disposable income as well is a little skittish right now. So if you could just throw some light on the demand trends.
So for us, it was, so we had to prioritize our products. So when we were prioritizing, we prioritized the premium products. So we've been selling only our premium products. But I think it's important to look at the share of stomach in a larger way. So if you were to look at downtrading, yes, there is downtrading happening. People are not going out and eating in restaurants. They are eating at home, and hence there is downtrading happening there. Biscuits is the cheapest form of the snack. And it comes from a company which is a highly trusted company and a highly trusted brand. So while there is downtrading happening because I'm going for a more expensive snack to a cheaper snack, but within the category, for us, there's been no downtrading. I do hear from our competitor that there is serious downtrading in their portfolio. But from our product portfolio, it's been the premium products which are holding sway.
All right. So obviously new product launches and all of that was for obvious reasons not the focus in the last quarter. But now as we are moving forward, our new product launches, is your innovation strategy back on track?
Yes, absolutely. So our R&D center is working overtime on, the kind of products that the consumers are looking for. Obviously, the first objective was to max the core. But beyond that, that we've gotten into new categories. There is a lot of work happening on those categories. Obviously, market research, insights work could not happen during this 4-month period. And that's delayed some of our, rollout of products into the total India market. But having said that, it's only a delay. We are going to be back with a bang as far as category growths are concerned, as well as new innovation products are concerned. We are also working on some immunity products, and we are really doing research to make sure that we bring in absolutely the right products which give the consumers the genuine, result that they are looking for.
Thank you so much, Mr. Berry, for joining us today, and all the very best. Hope to speak to you next quarter as well.